On today's episode of Let's Talk Drones, I am going out into the field to fly my DJI drones as I address a letter to all American manufacturers and, quite frankly, anybody that helped to make the decision or supported the decision to ban DJI drones in the United States. Let's not waste any more time. Let's write this letter. Let's talk drones. What's up? It's Chris, the Drone Geek, and welcome to another episode of Let's Talk Drones. Let's Talk Drones is brought to you by The Droning Company, the #1 online resource for commercial remote pilots in the United States and now worldwide. Make sure you check them out at their website, thedroningcompany.com, and make sure you check out their YouTube channel. Lots of great content, lots of podcasting going on right now with The Droning Company, including content and podcast episodes featuring yours truly. So make sure you check them out. The Droning Company, the #1 online resource for commercial remote pilots, now worldwide.
Dear American and Western-based drone manufacturers, in light of recent developments regarding legislation that would lead to a ban of DJI technology on American soil, I'm doing my best to keep my anger in check so as to move forward with the most positive disposition possible. We can either choose to lay down and die or keep pushing forward towards our goals. When I set out on my journey in 2017, my goals were simple and humble. I wanted to earn a living doing what I truly love to do, and that is flying unmanned aircraft. While my plans have been impacted greatly, and I am reeling after the decision was made to essentially brick what's $15,000 of DJI technology that I've invested in over the last 7 years, I'm not going to give up on the hope that I can fly drones and earn a healthy living for the next 35 to 40 years of my life. Not yet, anyway. That said, I'm here to offer cautionary advice to you, the very people who have been advocating for, if not fully endorsing, supporting, and financially incentivizing DJI to be removed from the US market, on how you can win back the industry's end users in this extremely tumultuous time. First, get away from reliance on venture capitalist funds. It is far too common in the United States to see drone manufacturers come and go at an uncomfortably frequent rate. Just as soon as a company seems to have a full head of steam, they fizzle out in spectacular fashion and end up either being acquired or shuttered completely. This, in large part, has to do with the mirage of success created by investment funds from venture capitalists that initially bloat a manufacturer's bank account. The symptoms of a company too reliant on venture capital funding are all too common. Number one, a ton of marketing with little to no real-world data or use cases backing up the efficacy of their platforms. Number two, a high volume of press releases that point towards sales, but very little actual sales revenue being generated. Number three, a hesitancy to showcase or distribute product for user feedback and or reviews due to either a lack of overall efficiency or even a lack of availability. And number four, an absence of new, tangible, and real innovations year over year. Those are just some of the major symptoms. There may be others that I did not cover. The overarching point here, though, is that the reliance on venture capital funds and the charades and facades of success that are often displayed utilizing these funds is dangerous for the industry and creates stagnation in a best-case scenario and investor fatigue in a worst-case scenario. If investors grow tired of losing money when buying stock in our companies, we lose that means of opportunity at some point down the line, and our industry is labeled as a financial dead end. You all need to wean yourselves off of investor dollars at some point and start relying entirely on your revenue streams to generate the means necessary to running a business. If you cannot or will not do this, you are either too incompetent to be in business or you are in this business for the wrong reasons. Next, start spending your capital on things that actually matter. Piggybacking on my first section of advice, if any of you want to be taken seriously as successors to DJI in the American market, you all need to seriously evaluate where your capital is being spent internally. Far too often do I see manufacturers in the West inflating their burn rate unnecessarily via frivolous spending on marketing and PR fluff without any meaningful way to tangibly expand upon or back up said fluff. If I had $1 for every time I saw a press release outlining how great a particular drone is, only to find out that the press release outlined a case study that is exaggerated at best and completely fabricated at worst, I wouldn't need to be flying drones for a living. This meaningless expenditure of those precious funds you are burning at an exponentially fast rate, too fast to be sustainable more often than not, is not only hurting your business, it's destroying technology standards in the drone industry. Period. You know who you are, and you know that you're guilty of this, so instead of getting defensive or upset, make plans to change the direction of your capital funnel. Work to redirect that money into your research and development teams. Give them the financial resources necessary to dedicate the time needed to flesh out a truly spectacular drone. If you bite the bullet now and accept that your hardware and software engineers are going to be making the brunt of the money and decisions on your products for the foreseeable future, you will struggle less down the line. After that, work to drive your prices down to soften the blow on the lower end of the market. I say lower end of the market with the best intentions, as I myself am a member of that lower end. The upstarts who want to utilize drone technology to create, measure, and survey from an aerial perspective. DJI was not just the brand of choice because its technology and capabilities were unrivaled. It was the brand of choice because it was accessible to nearly everyone with just a few pennies to rub together. The ability to start a business and create revenue streams with a very low initial investment opened up opportunities for many thousands of people in the United States. Looking at equivalents to DJI platforms, and I use that term very loosely because none of you have been able to really create an equivalent product to anything DJI has to offer, the prices are 400% or more than that of a DJI drone. You can throw examples like Anzu Robotics out there, but the fact is they're still more expensive than their DJI counterparts by a noticeable margin, and they also lack the flexibility to provide universal utility for multimedia applications. You might then point to the ACSL SOTEN, but while that platform has interchangeable payloads that cover a wide variety of use case scenarios, it is 4 times more expensive than the Mavic platform. And the worst part? These two examples are arguably doing better in the pricing column than nearly anyone else in the game not named DJI or Autel. That's not to say that I am anti-Anzu Robotics and or ACSL. In fact, I'm pulling for both of them to be major players for the industry in the years to come. I am simply demonstrating that the issue surrounding pricing is going to be perhaps the most serious as we move into a DJI-less future in the United States. Do better to bring your pricing down, and fast. You don't have the luxury of developing the technology for 5 years and refining your manufacturing processes in step. You need to take the necessary steps to make the technology more readily accessible to a wider base of pilots, and in a hurry. Otherwise, the industry will flounder and die without people having the ability to easily and readily purchase a drone and grow interest in the technology. Then, push for government subsidization of your companies. On the note of decreasing prices and developing your manufacturing processes, it's crucial that you put pressure on the same government that assisted in removing DJI from the American market to now step up and provide the subsidies you need to truly scale your companies. At this point, we no longer want to hear that American ingenuity will get us there, because that was thrown out the door the minute the legislation passed to oust DJI. No, now you need to accept that you cannot do this on capitalism alone, because you've shown that you can't, and you need to pressure the government to grant you funding to build out your manufacturing and research and development processes. DJI is not a self-made company by any stretch of the imagination. In DJI's early years, the Chinese government provided it with astronomical amounts of subsidies that assisted in scaling DJI's manufacturing abilities, filling shipping containers, and distributing them to the company's markets of interest. If not for those subsidies, it's hard to say where DJI would be, but it would almost certainly not be as firmly atop the food chain as it is today. It's time to get serious about what needs to happen. While I'm sure your companies are chock full of highly skilled and capable people, you need to face the facts. Even with DJI gone, you cannot fill the void without an incredible amount of financial help. That has to come from the government, because you lack the array of products necessary to capture all of the revenue needed to scale on your own. Finally, embrace your new responsibility as the driving force of the American drone industry. If DJI is truly gone, the rest of you are now responsible for taking up the mantle of the driving force in the development and expansion of the American drone industry. It is up to you to not only grow your businesses, but ensure that the industry itself also grows with them. To ensure this happens and that the interest in the drone industry does not wither away, you need to ensure that technology is accessible to not just your big-ticket military and enterprise clients, but also the people on the lowest rungs of the industry. The banishment of DJI leads to tens, if not hundreds of thousands of people in a very difficult position. We invested in the technology that struck the best balance of effectiveness and budget friendliness, and now that option is off the table for long-term use. So where do we turn? Some of us will learn to build drones if we happen to be savvy enough from a technical standpoint. Others will have the money to upgrade to a more expensive but perhaps less effective platform. However, a large majority of us will run our existing DJI systems until they die, and then likely either source parts for the platforms for as long as we feasibly can, or leave the industry entirely. It is up to you all to accommodate the needs of every type of drone user in the country now. Our interest, despite being invested in DJI's technology, is what drew eyes to the industry and opened the doors for your companies to begin doing business. Our experience is what allows us to draw conclusions and provide feedback on the technology we use and what gives your companies the direction they need to innovate and create solutions that work and are wanted. We may not be the big ticket sales you want, but without us, this journey is abundantly more difficult for you to make. We understand you cannot develop a Mavic overnight, but it'd be foolish of you not to be working towards a platform that provides the same balance of performance and price, so we may continue to develop our own small businesses and provide you the data, ironically, that is crucial for scaling your companies. No matter if the DJI bans are warranted or not, or if you support them or not, the fact remains their absence in the industry is going to send a negative shockwave through the market. People will lose their livelihoods, and the trajectory of the American drone industry will be left in a critical state. If any one of you was achieving overall equivalency to DJI with any of your platforms, I'd sleep more soundly at night. But the fact is, you all have had 10 years to catch up, and the best we've been able to do is create technology that is half as good for more than 4 times the price. We must strive for better than that, and it only happens if you accept that a DJI-less America means that all of you hold the responsibility for the entirety of the market. Personally, I don't think any of you are ready for that. I've been wrong before though, and I hope I'm wrong this time, but something tells me I'm not. Prove me wrong, make me eat crow, leave the egg on my face. Just don't let it be the other way around, please, for all that is good and just. Sincerely, Chris, the Drone Geek, Fravel.
Yo, what you say? Steady screaming.